Today, we're going to talk about the DCC Character Folio. I'm going to give you a brief overview of all the things that are contained in this handy character folio for your characters. First of all, the booklet comes with a cover that is a satin finish, excellent for repelling stains at the gaming table and stuff. And there is a space here where you can use a Sharpie to write in your character's name or your own name if you wish. The back cover of the character folio is set up with the fumble table. I find this to be a useful place to put the fumble table. It puts it right in the player's hands so they can roll their fumbles as they're working without having to search through the rulebook. Moving inside the booklet, you can see that we've given space for the funky dice conversion table up here, giving you lots of options on how to roll funky dice using the standard 7 dice that come in a traditional dice set, in case you happen to be in need. In addition, we have a generic character advancement table. This advancement table allows you to put in any type of character class you want, whether it's a warrior, a cleric, a wizard, an elf, or anything like that. All of those can be recorded here, and we have columns for attacks, crit die and tables, action die, your saving throws, and any notes you might need to make. Further, there are a couple of other tables down here that we find to be really handy at the game table for players to have quick access to. Ability score modifiers, level advancement, and the conditions for melee and missile combat. There's also a place here where you can keep a note of who actually owns this booklet. You can put your own name there in case you need to. Here we have kind of a page devoted to character profile, so you can put your character's name, occupation, title, their XP level, and a couple of physical characteristics ending in alignment. And then finally, if you want, there's space for a sketch in case you'd like to do a sketch of your character, or you can use that space for notes. This right here is kind of your heads-up display for any type of combat or general play. Here you've got all of your ability scores and any modifiers you might have for them, with plenty of room to keep notes on why those modifiers exist, and a handy-dandy little burn-loss section next to each of your ability scores. So you can just tick off any spell burn or rad burn or anything you might have. Lucky roll is down here. Here are your saving throws with plenty of notes and space for modifiers, your hit points, and then your armor class with the score, and then plenty of space again for notes. Over here on this table, on this page, we have initiative, any notes on criticals, action die, your base attack die, and melee and missile die, in case you need to break those all out in detail. A table for keeping weapon notes, and a spot for keeping ammunition, and ability to track it if you need to track spending it. Finally, on this page here, we have some general augmentations to your character, notes on languages, including little columns for whether you speak, read, or write that language, and as well a spot for skills. Here, for those of you who happen to be spellcasters or wizards and you have a familiar, notes on familiars can be put here, and just some space for class notes or anything else you might need. This right here is your spellcasting page. You have max level, spell check. For those of you who might have patrons, you can list the patron and the number of times you've invoked them, in case that's important in your role-playing events, as it should be. And you can track corruption, whether it's minor, major, or greater, and then also taint, whether it's the first, second, or third time you've experienced that taint. Spell notes here, plenty of space to keep lots of spells, and you can note whether it's in a spell book, on a scroll, or something you've learned, which we found is pretty critical for wizards in the game, because you may encounter spell books that you've recovered or scrolls that you've found, and you don't necessarily know those spells yet. And so, since there's pretty limited ability to know spells for a wizard, it's good to be able to keep track of that. You can track the spell's level, a check, and then notes for it. We like to actually put page spaces in here, or page notes, so that you can refer back to the DCC rulebook. Further, here you have kind of all your physical entrapments, the things that keep you going and keep you warm at night. All your money, all the way down to teeth, gold, copper, electrum, and so on and so forth. A list of debts, in case you happen to have taken out a loan or something because you needed to buy those thieves' tools, but you didn't quite have the cash. And then further, equipment. Plenty of room for equipment listing, and some columns that allow you to note whether it's on your person, in your backpack, on your pack mule, or at home. For those of you who really like to organize your characters and know where they are or where everything is, this is a great advantage, and I use it all the time. The remainder, or most of the remainder of the book, is taken up with treasure and notes pages. Now, these treasure and notes pages are generic. They are actually set up on a dot system, so you can quickly grid out, a dungeon you might be mapping or something like that, but also gives you space, plenty of room and everything, and some guidance in mapping out NPC encounters or individuals you might know, or notes that you find important, or some place to puzzle out a clue or something. There's a lot of pages here, and so we've given you plenty of room in order to keep those treasure and notes. And this is actually a response to actual playtesting with the booklets. We found, initially we were only going to put 2 or 3 of these in, and we found that we quickly reused them up. And so we've increased the allocation of these substantially. And so, as you can see, there's a lot of them here for you to work with. And that brings us to the final page spread of the booklet. The interior back cover and the last page cover the physiognomy. And here you have that medieval illustration of an individual and wounds they've suffered. And this is done in a halftone, so you can go in and using a marker or your pencil or something, mark where your character might have actually carried out spellburn. Did they cut off a finger or something, or take off a leg? Have they been wounded? Is the result of a fumble or a critical hit against them? Have they lost an eye or something? Or have they gotten tattoos because, they were visiting with that group and getting tribal tattoos was going to help them out, and so they did that. This is a place for you to keep a record of the physicality of your character, however you want to do that. And we find it to be really helpful in keeping notes and helping bring out the personality of the character. Finally, back to that back page, fumble table, always present, always a threat to your character. And that is the DCC Character Folio by Blind Visionary Publications.